Welcome to your yoga practice. My name is Mary. Thank you for joining me. Spring has sprung, so let's do a practice to celebrate. Some blocks and a chair might come in handy for your practice. Let's get started. We're going to begin on our backs in a Shavasana position, but if that doesn't work for you, find a position where you can find comfort on your back. You could maybe have your knees up if you have some low back issues, but find a position that works for you. And feel yourself settling in, paying particular attention to the earth beneath you, feeling yourself grounded, rooted. Once you're rooted, bring attention to your breath, just noticing where your breath is at. Notice the quality and the sensation of your breath. Now call to mind winter. And think about what's happening in winter. Everything's slowed down, is dormant. Maybe resting and recovering. Things working sort of underground, so to speak. But now it's spring. And you can think about winter as growing potential. So it seems like not much is happening. But we're growing even though we don't notice it. So now we've hit a tipping point in spring. And we're ready to open and blossom and break into new possibilities. So let's use this practice today for our awakening. So when you're ready, roll onto your side first. Press yourself up to a seated position, and then we're going to go to an all fours position. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders, spread your fingers. Now sink into child's pose. And then as you breathe in, press yourself to all fours and all the way to cow pose. So bring your chest forward and tailbone up. And then exhale as you come to standing on knees. I messed that up. So come to all fours and sink down into child's pose. As you take a breath in, rise up, bring your arms out and up like you're growing branches, breaking out of the ground. And then as you exhale, come to all fours. And then breathe in, come to cow pose. So bring your chest forward, tailbone up. Now exhale, rainbow your spine, bring your chin to your chest, and sink to child's pose. So let's do that series of poses a couple times. So take a breath in and rise up, growing, extending, breaking out. Exhale, come to all fours. Breathe in, bring your chest and tailbone up, and then exhale, rainbow your spine, sink into child's pose. And one more time, flowing with your breath. So breathe in, rising up, stretching, extending. Exhale to all fours. Now press your chest forward and tailbone up. Breathe in. Exhale, round your spine, tuck in your tailbone, and sink into child's pose. Press up into all fours. Curl your toes. Bring your hips high and back to downward dog. Let your neck relax. pedal your feet. So bring one heel to the ground and then the next. And then look to your hands. Either walk your feet up to your hands or your hands to feet. Come to a halfway lift with a very straight spine, the crown of your head forward. Now hinge and fold with your knees quite bent. Let your neck relax. And then press up into chair pose. And then what we're going to do is bring one arm forward and the other arm back. And then bring your hands together and rise up. And then exhale, fold, tense your fingers. First, let your neck relax. Now plant your hands and step both feet back into plank or plank on knees. Now lower yourself all the way to your belly. And then when you're ready to breathe in, rise up like you're a sprout peeking out of the ground. Draw your shoulder blades back and your feet will be pressing into the earth. Lower down. And let's do that 2 more times. So take a breath in and rise up. Bring your chest up. Bring length in your neck. So you'll still be looking at the ground, finding extension in your back. And lowering down. And one more time, rising up and down. Now press into your hands. Your hands will be by your chest, into all fours. And we're going to do that standing on knees where we bring our arms up and out. And then we'll sink into child's pose. Come up to all fours and then curl your toes. Bring your hips high and back to downward dog. Look to your hands. Walk your feet up to your hands to halfway lift. Crown of your head forward, straight spine. Bend your knees to forward fold. Let your neck relax. Now rise up with your knees bent into chair pose. You could use a chair for support. And bring your one arm forward and one arm back. And then come to chair pose and then rise up. Bring your hands to your heart and down to your sides. So from here, we're going to come to a wide leg stance. And we're going to do some goddess squats. So start with your hands at your heart, and we're going to actually bring your feet wide. Squat down, and then rise up with your hands to cactus as you straighten your knees. And we'll do that a couple times. So exhale, folding down, breathing in and rising up. Contracting as you go down, and one more time, rising up. So this time when we go down, we're going to have knees bent, but we're going to fold. So forward fold in this kind of squatting position. Rise up halfway, keeping your knees really bent. Rise up and then open up. And then bring your hands to your heart. So you could heel toe your feet together or step them together. So they're about hip width distance apart. Let's find mountain pose. So really finding your weight grounded in both feet evenly. Slight bend to your knees. Really long line of extension through your spine. Draw your shoulders down and back. And just feel the strength of your body. So from here, we're going to do a balancing pose. So bring most of your weight to your left foot. We're coming to tree pose. So you could just tent your toes next to your left ankle. Maybe bringing your right foot to your calf, possibly to your thigh, And if you have a chair, you can use that for support, but still finding that length and being tall, standing tall like a tree. Maybe bringing your arms out to stretch. Feeling yourself rooted in your standing leg. You might feel a little wobbly. Sometimes it's helpful to find a point of focus and bring awareness to your breath. And if it feels choppy or if you're holding your breath, bring awareness to smoothing it out. And then we can come down. And right away, we're going to go to the other side. So this time you could use your chair for support if you wanted. Just tent your toes next to your standing leg, finding that length in your spine. Maybe putting your foot on your calf, possibly to your thigh. And maybe growing branches. And thinking about, you don't have to be static. You could imagine trees blowing in the wind, swaying. And once again, bring awareness to your breath. Finding calmness, stillness, rooting in your standing leg. And then bringing that leg down. So let's just take a freedom breath, really grounding your feet into the earth, bending your knees a little bit, and then rising up as you breathe in. Big, long stretch, maybe even standing on your tippy toes. Growing, reaching, extending, and then come down. So come to the top of your mat, take a full deep breath in, hinge and fold. We're going to come to all fours first, sink into child's pose, and rise up, reaching, extending, and then you can bring your bum to your heels, and we'll come to a seated position first, and we'll come into a modified boat pose. So bring your knees to your chest, and what we're going to do is open up, so kind of a sprawl. So using your core muscles. It might be too much to have both hands and legs up. Maybe you could just use your hands to rest behind you. Maybe just your feet. So just kind of this tightening, like you're a tiny seed growing and expanding. We'll do that 2 more times, and use whatever modifications work for you, maybe keeping your feet on the ground. And then 1 more time, and coming together. So now come onto your back, keep your knees up, and have your feet about hip width distance apart. You could just scrape the back of your heels with your fingers. So we'll come up into bridge pose as you breathe in. So press the backs of your hands into the earth, press your feet into the ground, and lift your hips up. And then lower down. So you could continue doing bridge that way. We'll go up and down a couple times. Or you could bring your arms overhead as you bring your hips up, but breathing in and out. Breathing in, and as you're lowering down, imagine that each vertebrae lands individually, so very slow, gentle movements. 1 more time, breathing in and out. Now lift your feet off the ground, bring your knees to your chest, and we're just going to expand on our backs. So knees to chest, and then sprawl wide. Knees to chest. So you're exhaling, and then breathing in, expanding And one more time, knees to chest. And then this time do a full body stretch, stretching one direction, just like you're waking up from your winter sleep. And then come into your resting posture. It could be Shavasana with your legs spread slightly, your arms to your side, not quite touching your side. If that's not comfortable, find a position where you can find stillness for the last couple minutes of class. So feel yourself once again grounding into the earth, planting your roots into the ground so that you can rise up strong and steady. Bring awareness to your breath and see if you can lengthen your inhales and exhales. Maybe if notice you're breathing in for 3 seconds and exhaling for 3 seconds, maybe lengthening that to 4 seconds for inhale and 4 seconds for exhale. I'm going to read a poem for you by Ada Limon. It's called Instructions for Not Giving Up. More than the fuchsia funnels breaking out of the crabapple tree, more than the neighbor's almost obscene display of cherry limbs shoving their cotton candy-colored blossoms to the slate sky of spring rains. It's the greening of the trees that really gets to me. When all the shock of white and taffy, the world's baubles and trinkets, leave the pavement strewn with the confetti of aftermath, the leaves come, patient, plodding, a green skin growing over whatever winter did to us, a return to the strange idea of continuous living despite the mess of us, the hurt, the empty. Fine then, I'll take it, the trees seem to say, a new slick leaf unfurling like a fist to an open palm. I'll take it all. So just take a moment just to rest here and simply be where you're at. Draw awareness once again to your breath. Just noticing your inhales and exhales. Perhaps breathing in longer, bringing life and oxygen back to your body. And as you continue to lengthen your breath, maybe you'll notice some wiggles in your fingers and your toes. Maybe imagining that you're some critter awaking from a long winter slumber, getting ready to grow and build and start anew. So when you're ready, roll onto your side. You could use your arm as a little pillow, maybe drawing your knees to your chest. Take a moment in gratitude. Thank yourself for practicing today and taking the time for your self-care. And then when you're ready, press yourself up into a seated position. Draw your hands to your heart. Thank you for practicing. Namaste. If you haven't already done so, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks for joining me.